The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is June 18th, 2014. Welcome to another live edition of DTRH. Tonight, I welcome a guest to the broadcast for the first time, an activist born from his own pain, born from his own experiences. He didn't let it stop him. What he went through changed him as a person and made him find a new path, or the path he's on now, the current one. He's helping other human beings. He's taking on the government of Canada for cannabis freedom. It takes a lot of courage to do that. I know it's 2014 and we talk about cannabis freedom a lot. And everybody's open and, oh, cannabis is cool, Popeye. We don't have a problem with it. How many of you could get arrested and stand up for your own rights and be willing to take on the government for not only your cannabis freedom, but others? Well, that's what my guest tonight is doing. He's up in Canada, and he's fighting. He's fighting for his freedom to be able to treat himself. And even though they have medical marijuana laws up in Canada, they're changing the laws. That's part of the problem that he's going through. And again, it's all because he's got health issues, pain management problems, right? I know what that's like. He doesn't want to take opiates. He doesn't want to take morphine. He doesn't want to take whatever else they try to shove down his throat. Believe me, I know what that's like. And through all his, you got to remember, it was personal strife and struggle that led him to the cannabis to begin with. And yet through all of that, he's still able to overcome that and take on the powers that shouldn't be, not only for himself, but for others. Just amazing. That's why I wanted to bring him on tonight. All around good guy, smart individual. And again, he hasn't let this, what he's gone through, this adversity he's facing, push him down. In fact, he's taking lemons and he's making lemonade out of it. Life tried to hand him a bunch of lemons and he's making lemonade, and he made a lemonade stand. So I want to introduce my guest tonight. Just all around great guy, activist, all around good human being. I think what he's doing is actually just I don't want to call it activism. It's doing the right thing. He's trying to help other individuals in pain, sick individuals. It takes a lot of courage to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, that's why I wanted to showcase him tonight. So tonight, without further ado, let me bring my guest to the airwaves, Mr. Mikey Szymczak. Mikey, welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How's Cannabis doing up there?
We're doing quite well. Hopefully we do a lot better after I get marijuana or cannabis actually legal in Canada for everybody.
So let's get right into your story, because this is really, really to me anyway, it was very interesting, and that's why I wanted to get you on. I mean, just seeing, as I said, you're it's inspirational to say the least. I mean, you were hurt. You know your injuries and that path in your life led you to cannabis, and then you were hassled by the powers that shouldn't be, and you still didn't back down. You're still fighting. That's incredible. So let's start off first. My first question would be, what happened that led you to even look down the path of cannabis for medicine? Obviously, I know, but for the listener's sake, what happened to you? You were involved in a really bad car accident, right? And you were severely injured, and you ended up being put on pain medication. So go ahead and pick it up with your car accident, and just tell the world your story, Mikey. The platform is yours for about the next 20 minutes until break.
Well, thank you. I was in a car accident. I got hit by a drunk driver. He hit me approximately doing about 130 kilometers per hour. He T-boned me at an intersection. My car ended up flying. I ended up sharing 2 gas pumps at the gas station. I was on the corner. The thing that saved my life was the fact that I had a roll cage in the car and racing seats. And that was the only thing that pretty much saved me. I was knocked unconscious. I don't remember them cutting me out of my car. And that's how it all started. I received a serious back injury. I pretty much broke my back in 3 places. I was on almost 1,000 milligrams of liquid morphine a day, and I came off of it using medical cannabis. And I found it to be a more effective treatment. I regained my life. It was pretty much, it was life-changing. Needless to say, from a simple plant that's made, so illegal and so bad in the eyes of the law.
And how long, and we can get into the details and stuff, but how long did it take you to detox from 1,000 milligrams of morphine a day using the cannabis? Was it a long period of time, or was it just a few weeks?
It was approximately 3 weeks. It was a lot quicker than methadone. My withdrawals were very minimal. I wasn't throwing up. I wasn't shaking. Every time I felt the onset of the withdrawals coming on from the opiates, I would either vaporize or I would smoke a cannabis cigarette, and it would alleviate the symptoms right away. And I was able to manage my cravings and my withdrawals with cannabis in that way. So it took about 3 weeks, but it was steady use of the plant.
But 3 weeks is a pretty short time, especially if you're coming off 1,000 milligrams of morphine. But the reason I without even asking you, I knew that it had to be a short period of time. That's why I wanted to ask you, was because I'm trying to showcase to the listeners and to people that, look, they tell you that there's no medicinal value. Here you have someone who was on some hardcore opiates, and all he wanted to do was get off of them. In 3 weeks, you were able to get off of it. That's incredible, Mike.
Yes.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yes. Well, we have an endocannabinoid system, and people that have a deficiency from it are susceptible to getting cancer and getting life-threatening illnesses. And when you have that deficiency, like I said, your body is susceptible to those vicious and horrific diseases. The way to beat any addiction using cannabis is you have to ingest it. Eating cannabis oil is one of the greatest things you can do for your body, because it will top off your endocannabinoid system, plus it will kill any cancer cells that might be forming in your body. So it is a great thing that should be in everybody's diet. Actually, a woman that's breastfeeding her child will have cannabinoids because the body naturally produces them, and it will be passed off onto the child while breastfeeding. So it is something that naturally occurs in a human body, and we do require it. So that's how I was able to do it, because the cannabinoids are actually something we require, and it actually took away my cravings.
how long were you on the morphine before you were introduced to the idea of medical cannabis as an alternative rather than the opiates?
3 years, going on 4. So I had no life for that period of time.
You were pretty well addicted to that stuff, huh?
I was a junkie. I was classified as a junkie. I was to the point that I lost contact with all my friends. I had nobody around me, and it's one of the worst things. And doctors know what's happening, and they're more than willing to prescribe it and turn people into zombies. So it was really bad. It got to the point that I was embarrassed of myself. And now that I found medical cannabis, it's been life changing. You know, we do fundraisers for children, and you know, we support kids using medical cannabis for their ailments, and that's, like I said, I stand by it 100%. It can save the world, and it's being suppressed by our governments that it has no medicinal values to it, because they know exactly what this plant's capable of doing and how it could change, everything.
And in Canada, they already have somewhat of a medical marijuana system. Not maybe the greatest one, but they have an idea of one, I guess, a faint idea of a medical cannabis system.
I think that's the proper wording for it. The new system that they're trying to introduce is, I'm challenging it because the system is unconstitutional. It fails patients left, right, and center. There's private companies that want to get rich off the backs of disabled and sick people, and that's wrong. I don't have an issue with somebody making money, but if you're going to gouge the sick and dying because you want to make the almighty dollar, then that you shouldn't be around. With my club, we provide cannabis at $3 to $5 a gram, opposed to $8 to $15 a gram that these licensed producers are doing it. And how can I do it, for $3 a gram, and these guys can't even come close to my prices? And my cannabis, my meds are far superior than theirs, and I can even give out my meds for free. So there's no excuse for corporate-run licensed producers, not to be able to give out meds for free and, even match my prices. So it's disgusting. The program is a fail. It's all just to line the pockets of the politicians in Canada, and it's an absolute fail. It's gonna, there's gonna be a genocide of the sick, and unless it's legalized and brought in and given to people for free, we're gonna watch people, drop like flies in this country. And, Canada's not known for that. We're known for peace, love, happiness. We're known as the caring and giving people. And right now, we can't even take care of our own because of our government's upside down and backwards. That's disgusting. That's crimes against humanity.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And it makes no sense because you guys, from what I understand, you already have the ability, if you have I guess it's a medical cannabis license from Health Services Canada, I think it is, or whatever, that you can grow your own plants in your house.
Yeah, they don't even have it. Yeah, they don't have that anymore. They took that right away from patients.
That doesn't make any sense.
People are still because the government, like I said, the government's upside down and backwards. They give something to people so they get better, and now they're ripping it away from them. It's like giving somebody a dialysis machine. Are you going to come in 6 months later and say, no, you can't have this machine anymore to save your life? Like, those people should be thrown away and, never see daylight again. They're criminals. That's crimes against humanity.
Did they even have hearings on this, or they just decided to change the law overnight, and overnight all of you medical cannabis patients got screwed? Is that how this worked?
Pretty much it was overnight. They introduced a bill, it got passed, and then Harper and his government and his cabinet just said, oh, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to, give this to private corporations, to my buddies, to make money off the sick, and it just went that way. There was no consideration of the sick. Nobody, the people that are disabled and the people that need help, their feelings were taken into consideration. The only feelings that were taken into consideration were the ones that the people that are going to benefit from this. And, it's disgusting that, like we spoke earlier, I said, if somebody would have came to me in high school and said, this is what you're going to be doing, fighting for the right for people to use cannabis, I would have told them, I think you're huff and glue. But, it's sad that somebody that's sick has to fight for the rights of other sick patients. And, it shouldn't be like that. It should be somebody healthy standing back and saying, wow, all these people, they're they're getting the cold end of the deal. Maybe we should do something. But yet nobody healthy, nobody willing and capable of standing up for us unless, they take hundreds of thousands of dollars, like the lawyers in British Columbia, like Mr. Conroy, to help the sick. Come on, that's not right. You're supposed to help your fellow man. If you can't do that, your afterlife is going to be ruined. I can't, if I see an injured animal, I can't walk down the street without helping that animal. The same goes for a person. You got to show love and compassion to your fellow man. You got to stick together. And, for the government to do this to all the sick people, that's wrong. That's disgusting. They should be punished and they should be thrown in jail for that. That's to me, that's a form of terrorism. When you bully somebody, and that's what they're doing, is they're bullying people. And my interpretation of a bully is a terrorist, because not only does that person, when they bully somebody, they terrorize them mentally, physically. And when you terrorize somebody, you're a terrorist. So essentially, my government is a terrorist because of what they're doing to all the sick and disabled. It's sad that we associate the word terrorism with 9/11, but it is what it is. That's what the government is doing to all of us. There's a little girl in Pennsylvania that I'm fighting for here out of Canada. Her name's Lorelei. Her mother's name's Dana Ulrich. She can't get cannabis oil. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at different avenues to help this little girl out from Canada. And once I win and this little girl can get the medicine that's going to stop her seizures, my club will provide all her medicine for the rest of her life for free. And, it's sad that a politician that has no medical experience whatsoever is the deciding factor on a child's health. That is wrong. That is disgusting, and that is wrong. That is criminal. That should not be allowed.
Well, what's really criminal is the fact that you guys were able to grow your own plants, and overnight, at the whim of somebody that decided to make a couple extra bucks in their pocket, and none of these people need to make the extra couple bucks. They're all richer than they already need to be to begin with. So it's just greed and control, and it's absolutely wrong. First of all, I don't think cannabis should be illegal, or I think everybody should have access to it anytime they want. I don't even think you should have to have a medical card.
Exactly.
I think you should be able to grow it and take it like vitamins. You're allowed to take vitamins.
Exactly.
Nutrients. Why couldn't that's a nutrient. To me, cannabis and THC, CBD, the cannabidiol, all that is a nutrient.
That's right. Then the reason why the government won't let you have that is because it's been proven to kill cancer. Cancer is $1 trillion business every year. All these fundraisers for cancer research, for breast cancer. I'm not one to disagree with charities. They're fantastic. We need them to raise money for charities and research in the medical field. But when there is a known cure for cancer, and these greedy people are sticking their hands out and saying, "Give us more money. We need to find the cure." You have the cure. You're holding out from all these sick people. That is wrong. That is disgusting, and that is wrong. See, I have a little girl. The legacy I want to leave behind for my daughter is that when she Googles her name, she sees what her father's done. So I'm getting a little bit emotional. But that's what it is, because a lot of stuff is, the government hides it from us. If my daughter was sick, and if it was a life-threatening disease, knock on wood, I'd explore all possible options. But, if I have parents that come to me and their last option is the hemp oil that I make. And how do you turn down a parent, with a child that's, 15, 16 months old, and that child's dying in your arms, and the only thing that could possibly save them is something that's so illegal in the eyes of the law? Like, that is heartbreaking. That's the worst thing in the world.
Well, it's criminal what they do just by blocking sick people from having access to medicine, which has been proven over and over and over again that it can cure many different ailments, including cancer. It can relieve pain. It can work wonders. For them to keep saying at every level, it's like there has to be a speed bump. They can't just there's this. And it's not just Canada. It's every major government has this issue with cannabis. Like, even if they let it out the gate a little bit, it's got to be regulated and controlled, and they have to be on top of it. And they're going to tell you think about that. The arrogance of the government telling you what you should do with your cannabis when years ago they were telling you it had no medicinal benefit to begin with. Now you're going to let them tell you how much you should have or where you could get it? These people don't know anything. It's time we stopped listening to them, right?
That's right. You're absolutely right. You know, there's a thing, you know, there's no victim, there's no crime. By me ingesting cannabis for my personal use and how it alleviates my pain and the symptoms that I sustain from something that is legal, something that is sold in a store, taxed and regulated, put me in a position that I have a hard time fending in society as it is because of my medical condition. Now the police department and the government that is supposed to protect me, they threw me in a society where I was amongst rapists, murderers, violent offenders, and they wanted me to survive in a society like that. And wow, like that's bad. Overall, that's like, when my parents brought me to Canada, you know, I seen the Canadian flag. I didn't land in the slums of India. You know, I thought that my government, as being a disabled patient in Canada, would protect me. But yet, they did not. They failed me in every way. The courts failed me. The police failed me. Even my own doctors have failed me miserably. And it's sad that so many people are being subjected to this kind of treatment. Like, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And you know what? I'm only one person, but I will do whatever I can to help people out.
Well, we're getting a few minutes before the break sneaks up on us, and we can get into it a little bit more on the other side. But right. I want to ask you this before we go to break, really quick. Sure. What exactly caused you to get arrested and raided and thrown in with rapists and murderers and criminals? I mean, if what you're doing was at the time already okay, you know, as long, you know, even though you had to jump through hoops or whatever, whatever the case may be, if it was okay, why were you raided?
My own government failed me in the fact that they did not send me my amendment papers. They wanted me to cut down my medicine, wait for them 4 months, and then start production after 4 months while some secretary processed my license with an address change on it. I've submitted all my documents. I was legal 100%. I contacted them, and I got raided right after I called them, and I said, listen, due to security reasons, I have to move my production site. This is the new address. I'm sending out the paperwork. I even went as far as going to the police station and letting them know, and they still kicked in my door, and they stole my meds. I got raided twice in 1 year for something I was allowed to do, and something that our Charter of Rights in Canada that was instated in 1982 by Pierre Elliott Trudeau, they violated Section 7 and Section 12. And on top of it, the police beat me up, and they refused me medical attention for 5 days while I was incarcerated, and they refused me my medication for 5 days while I was incarcerated, with no excuse why they wouldn't supply it to me.
Just absolutely tyrannical. I mean, you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do it, and because of a technicality, paperwork, BS, bureaucracy issue, which that's what it was. It was just some bureaucratic paperwork issue. They arrested you and took your medicine.
And beat me up and threw me in jail, made me sleep on a concrete slab where my dogs have a softer bed than what I was given to sleep on in jail. That's how I was treated as a sick, disabled patient in Canada.
All for the crime, all for the horrific crime, Mikey, of wanting to alleviate your chronic pain. Wow.
From a drunk driver, from something that is legal and regulated by my government, and my own government failed me on that. Awesome, isn't it?
Well, they failed you on multiple levels, brother.
They did. Indeed, they did. And now they're going to pay the price, because now they have a huge lawsuit that's been filed by myself and a criminologist out of British Columbia. And now they're going to have their hands full, because now I'm not backing down. Now not only am I fighting for myself, I am fighting for everybody. And they don't like it. When they see me, the color of their faces just drains, and the judge told the Crown, good luck, you have your hands full. So it's not bad for an immigrant carpenter that English is my second language. I guess they picked the fight with the wrong guy.
This is just, you shouldn't be going through this, dude. I mean, you're a medical patient. You have a medical condition. You're in chronic pain. I mean, did they? I know we got about a minute before we go to break, but did they manhandle you? Like when they arrested you, did they take into account that you have back problems at all, or did they just fling you around like they normally do?
They beat me up. They threw. Well, I was in handcuffs. They ripped out my the piece for my IV because I just came the night I got arrested. Actually, I just came out of surgery. They removed the drain tube out of my stomach. But maybe we should get into that a little bit more because that's a story in itself as well too. So maybe we can continue that after break.
Yeah, the other side of the break, I want to get into that in detail. I mean, that's insane. So I mean, and you'd think it would be one thing if you were sitting in your house and you said, "Well, I have a bad back." You have a drain tube in you, and they pulled the drain tube out, and then they proceed to beat the crap out of you and manhandle. This is what I mean about, like, we have to handle this war on drugs is ridiculous. This is nothing more than a thug cartel trying to exert its power over everybody else and let you know who's boss. I mean, that's what I see. I just see a bunch of bullies trying to let you know who's boss, or at least they're trying to make you think, I should say, who's boss, when in reality we all really know that everybody else is really the boss. These people have no power at all. Anyway, I'm going to stop us right there, Mikey, because the break is sneaking up on us. Ladies and gentlemen, we get back. We're going to get into the arrest itself, and I want to get into a little bit of detail about what happened. I'm going to just give Mike the floor and let him talk. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Cannabis freedom, ladies and gentlemen. It's a plant. Why are kids suffering and dying? Why are adults suffering and dying? Why are humans, period, suffering and dying needlessly? Find your humanity and free the plant. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Mikey, we got cut off by the break. It was sneaking up on us, and we were talking about, right before we went to break, we were talking about your arrest and brutalization by the police. Which, by the way, it's very to someone who understands that Canada used to be about love and peace and chill. I mean, they used to look at us and be like, "Wow, our southern cousins are a little bit off the chain. They're quick to violence and quick to fight and quick to this." I mean, that's what Americans are known for, right? But Canadians were much more laid back. But I would say in the past 10 years, you've seen this change in the way. I mean, it's not that they weren't doing it before. It's just they're more open about it now. They're not hiding it. It's almost like even their police brutality tactics are becoming more and more standardized. I don't want to say Americanized. It's just it might have started here. They might have used America, the U.S. of A, as a starting off point. But it's this standardization of all of these police forces in all these countries, and it's this attitude that's being pushed. So you can see that there's obviously a much larger agenda. But anyway, we went to break. Mikey was telling us about his arrest and his brutalization by the police department, and I had no clue that he actually had a drain line in him and he was just fresh out of surgery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him the floor, and Mikey, you can pick it up wherever you want with it. Explain, actually pick it up with, you had surgery that day, you're in recovery. What was the surgery for? And then what happened? The cops come in and they just start pulling your plugs out of you? What was going on?
Well, what happened was actually I got raided twice in 1 year. I got raided on the 6th of January. I was 4 days away from PIC. That's the first time. That was when I first moved my production site to my new facility. I informed the police. I informed Health Canada. I let them know what was going on. I got raided. So I went to court for the first appearance here in Canada, and I told the judge, I said, "Your Honor, I'm waiting on my paperwork. I have a federal license. I'm exempt to possess and cultivate medical cannabis for these conditions. I provided all my MRIs and doctor's notes and letters of diagnosis." And the judge says, "I do whatever you have to do to protect your health." So I started cultivating my cannabis again. I ended up getting really ill. I went to the hospital, and they found out I had tumors in my stomach. So they went in, they removed the tumors. They cut me open above my crotch. They put a drain tube into my stomach. And all hunky-dory, I was sent home. And Went home in a cab. I got out of the cab. Next thing I knew, the cops were jumping out from behind bushes and cars like ninjas. They arrested me. They ripped the IV out of my left hand and pretty much threw me on the ground and started kicking me in the stomach. I informed the police of what was happening. They seen the hospital band on my hand, on my wrist. And I let them know, I'd been going to the hospital for the past 7 days. This is what's going on. And the cops just handcuffed me, threw me on the ground, and started beating me up. After they were done bullying me and assaulting me, they brought me into my house. They seen my license that was hanging on my fridge for me to possess and cultivate my cannabis. They ripped up my license and they threw it in the garbage. Then I was hauled off to jail. I was refused medical attention for 5 days. I ended up showing the cops at the police station of what they did to me when I was brought into the detention center. For medical screening, I showed the nurse, and I was brushed off like a loser, drug addict, criminal, because I was in possession of my medicine with a federal license. So I spent 5 beautiful days at the wonderful hotel detention center of Barton Street in Hamilton, Ontario, amongst, people that are addicted to other drugs and murderers and rapists and so forth. And when I went for bail that Monday morning, the judge looked at me and pretty much I ripped off my coveralls and got naked in the courtroom and showed the judge exactly what happened to me. And when the police broke my staples, I was released pretty much on the spot. I went and I got medical attention. They cleaned up my wounds. They patched me up as best as they could. And I went home, and I've been battling with them ever since. So that's what the police did to me that wonderful night of April 18th.
That's just absolutely insane. I mean, absolutely. And what did the judge say when you showed him what happened? I mean, was there at least any anger or anything from him, for what happened to you? Or was it just like, okay, we obviously screwed up, you're out, go ahead, you're free?
Well, of course not. He's not going to show any anger because those are his, brothers and sisters that, they're his hired goons. They're the ones, that bring him the money and everything else. And he didn't say anything. He was he just pretty much told me that, I should be released and that I should seek medical attention right away. And, I was released on the spot, and pretty much I went and found my merry way with that. But yeah, he was just he didn't even seem shocked or he didn't even seem surprised at what happened. It was like the norm of the police brutality that occurs within my city. So it's like, to me, it seems like he sees it on a day-to-day basis, and he was just whatever, another case of some loser pothead growing pot in his house. I wasn't looked at as a medical patient at one bit whatsoever. They were looking at me as a criminal from the time I got arrested. I was not a medical patient, even though I had tubes sticking out of me, and I felt like a dog on a leash with the drain tube right above my crotch. So I was not treated with any respect. My feelings were not taken into consideration whatsoever.
Jesus, I mean, you just had tumors removed from your stomach, and incisions.
Throwing up blood on a day-to-day basis. And throwing up blood on a day-to-day basis, and this is what what the police force did to me.
And the judge, well, you should seek medical attention. Gee, thanks, Your Honor. It's not like I wasn't just coming out of the place where I had just received some medical attention. I was going home to heal when your goons caused me more problems. Wow. It doesn't surprise me, though. It's the war of drugs. I don't call it the war on drugs. It's the war of drugs. They're just a criminal thug gang, and they're the most powerful gang, I guess you could say, because they have the law behind them, right?
It is. Well, it's the laws that they make, and the statutes. Actually, I found a very interesting article. I found that Canada has been declared as a criminal entity, and the government of Canada has now been dissolved. And you can find that. It's posted on my Facebook that any agents acting on behalf of Canada are working in false pretenses, so they're no longer police officers, judges, and lawyers. And it was actually found under UN law that Canada is a criminal organization. So I have that posted, and a lot of people don't believe it. I asked a friend of mine who's a criminologist, and he told me, hey, he says, you got it right, you found the Holy Grail. And it's a scary thing. Our government is not even our government anymore, because it's been found guilty of child trafficking and crimes against humanity and all sorts of wonderful things that I'm embarrassed to say that I'm Canadian right now. So it's a whole big thing that's happening, and we're being misled like sheep in both in the United States and in Canada.
Do you have a large following or backing for this undertaking? Standing up against them.
I have my business partners now through the compassion clubs that we run. I have somebody that's behind me. Most of the work that I've done, actually pretty much all of it, to the point that I've won my case, was done by myself and my friend Brian in British Columbia. So I have an issue with lawyers. I had a lawyer in the beginning to represent me on this medical marijuana case, and she pretty much sold me out for somebody that stabbed their girlfriend 13 times. And pretty much said, I will give you this medical marijuana patient if you lessen the sentence on this guy. And it was actually a friend of mine that works for her office. She was a secretary. She informed me of this. So, it was, like I said, I don't have a very good relationship and a trust with attorneys.
I don't blame you. They're like sharks, most of them. They come equipped with fins when they get their law degree.
The thing is, if you want something done right, you do it yourself, right? And, I might be ignorant to the law in some aspects, but, the aspects that I'm not ignorant to the law is, they're the ones that pack the real mean punch. And as long as, when they hit me and I hit them back twice as hard, they know that I'm not playing and I'm not going to back down. I have rights in this country, and for them to violate my rights, nobody has the right to do that. So it's like I said, I'm fighting on behalf of all these patients. A lot of people can't speak for themselves, and they're intimidated by the government and everything else. If it's going to take me to stand up for them, I'm sure as hell going to do it.
It's amazing
I'm
that
demanding the rights for.
It's amazing that you do that. As someone that, like I said in my intro, you go through a lot of crap, and with your own pain and what you deal with, your own ailments and stuff, and yet you fight that, and now you have to fight, you deal with fighting the system and the police, raiding you and attacking you, and that still doesn't deter you.
That are supposed to be protecting me. No, and I'm fighting the people that are supposed to be protecting me, and that's the sad part of it. My mother-in-law, if it wasn't for my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my fiance, my girlfriend, I would not be where I am now. These people have taken me in as their own, and I love them to death. They've helped me so much. Like my poor girlfriend, I'm not one to cry. I can take severe amounts of pain, but when I wake up in the middle of the night crying and I'm in tears, when I wake up, my girlfriend, that's she shouldn't have to deal with that, because the government's failing me because I don't have proper access to my medication. She shouldn't have to be subjected to that. My mother-in-law shouldn't have to be doing 90% of this stuff for me because it's not her job. She's raised her kids. She doesn't need to look after me in that sense. And and the government's failing me, the courts are failing me, the medical system's failing me. I have nobody to turn to, and the only person I turn to is myself. And then, in the eyes of the law, the people that are supposed to protect me, I'm a criminal because I'm trying to protect my health. I want to be a pillar of society and not a parasite of society. And without my medication, that's how I feel. I feel like a parasite because I'm useless. But when I do have my medicine, I'm a ticketed carpenter. By all means, I'm not lazy. I'm also a ticketed iron worker. So I don't mind working. I enjoy working. I was working construction for a very long time. I had to take care of my family at the age of 16 when my father tried to kill himself. So actually, I believe my medical cannabis first for medical conditions was from the PTSD that I suffered from my father trying to kill himself. Oh, excuse me. So I believe that was one of the first stages of my medical use for this plant. You know, I've been misdiagnosed and underdiagnosed for many years, and you know, I can, now that I sit back as an adult, I can say, you know, these are the events that happened in my life that, you know, that triggered certain things. And, you know, I've been using this to cope with it. You know, I've went to school. I've graduated high school. I went to college. I graduated a 2-year program from Mohawk College. By all means, I'm not stupid. You know, I'm well read. I research a lot of things. I might be a carpenter, but, you know, don't ever underestimate, you know, somebody. Well, and,
I agree.
Like I said,
Don't ever underestimate anybody. You're a perfect example of it. I mean, again, you're going through all this stuff and you're getting messed with by the government. And then on top of it, you're helping other people. Like, that's not even stopping you from helping other people. And in hour two, I want to focus on that little girl that you were talking about. I think she's in Ohio.
Yeah,
we can talk about her for a few minutes, too. I want to go over that.
Yeah, she's in Pennsylvania. Sorry, my excitement for this family is just through the roof. Her mother's name, she's a beautiful woman. Her name's Dana Ulrich. There's a website, if people can go check it out. It's legalized for Lorelei. She's, like I said, she's on my Facebook. Maybe if we can post a link or something. And I'm actually an advocate for this little girl here in Canada. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to try to get her to have maybe even an exclusive license just to try the cannabis oil. But we're actually going to be fighting for that bill to be passed where she can use this as medicine. Oh, excuse me. Where she, you know, to control her seizures. Oh, excuse me once again. Sorry, I'm just not feeling well. So yeah, we're working on that here from Canada. I have a team working on preparing everything, and we're actually going to be going after her politicians in her state to get some help for this little girl. So it's one of the projects that I'm working on right now. I'm very passionate about it, and unfortunately, Lorelei's going in for surgery. I think she's had her surgery today, where they've actually implanted 2 wires that when she has a seizure to pretty much zap her brain to shut it down with electric current to see if they can control these seizures. And, you know, the government's up and quick to do such an invasive procedure like that, where, you know, there could be an infection to the brain, but yet they don't want to try something like cannabis oil that's non-invasive. I don't know, it just boggles my brain. But, you know, like I said, I'm going to try to do everything I can for this little girl, and maybe we can do get her some help.
The vagal nerve stimulator is probably what she had put in, and they hook it up to the vagal nerve. It's kind of like a mini, almost like a little mini pacemaker hooked up to the vagal nerve, and then it just sends electrical shocks when the person has a seizure. And it's supposed. I don't know if it works. I mean, I know people that their children. I have friends of mine whose children are sick, and they've had them implanted, and she told me it did not work and didn't do anything. So I mean,
and now. Yeah, and now you subject a child to something like that. Like, you know, that's, with a child, especially at that age, their brain is developing. You know, any traumatic experience is going to mess up that child later down the road. Even that child, because that child might be sick, might not understand because her development is delayed due to the fact of the seizures, you know, that's still going to be in that child's mind, and that's not right. You know, like I said, there's many non-invasive things, and the government doesn't want to do these, but they want to start cutting open little kids. Like, that's disgusting. That's a psychopath in my eyes. Because if you're going to cut a child open, you know, knowing the fact that you have something in an oil form where you can mix it with food and it's going to do the same thing as, you know, your experiment here, a child's not a guinea pig. You know, there's a, you know, like I said, there's a proven cure for many illnesses, and it's using hemp oil and cannabis oil. You know, and they still want to cut people open. They don't want to try that, and that's wrong. Like, these people, I would love to bring them up in front of the Human Rights Tribunal under the United Nations, and I would love to see these people prosecuted, because these are crimes against humanity. These people should not be in power. This is somebody that has a little boy complex, that they're, you know, either they've been bullied in school and now they're taking it out on society. They should not be in power. Somebody like that is not good for the people. Somebody like that is bad for the people. Because a politician is supposed to give his people what they want, because those people are the ones that put him in power. And,
well, just think about that for a second. The fact, like, you brought up a really good point there a second ago, not even about the politicians, yes, but even the fact that these doctors are willing to put, like you said, they're willing to cut open a child because you have to, it's implanted. Yeah, it's under the skin, but it's still implanted. So you have to cut the child open and then run the leads up underneath the skin up into the brain. Or at least not maybe that far up into the brain, but up into the vagus nerve somewhere, maybe in the neck. Usually, I think is where they usually connect it, or somewhere around the top of the chest area. So you have this thing sitting on like the lower chest, and then wired up into like the kid's neck, and then shooting electrical shocks up into the kid's brain. That should be a last resort. That should be the last thing the doctor tries. The doctor shouldn't be like, well, let's cut you first. No, the doctor should try every other thing and then say to you, look, the only other option we have is maybe trying this vagal nerve stimulator. They shouldn't go to that first or hardcore drugs first and then that. They ought to just get rid of the hardcore drugs, get rid of the vagal nerve stimulator, and say, here, try cannabis first and see if this helps. Oh, look, it does. Amazing. A plant.
That's right. Because now the big problem with that is any incision that's made, there's always a risk of infection. And especially tapping into a brain that we have no idea how the human brain works. We haven't even mapped the human brain. We haven't even chartered even a quarter of the brain. We don't even know what can happen. We don't even know the prolonged effects of this. All we know that it could be a temporary relief for a child to stop these seizures, but yet so can cannabis. And why aren't they not considering these options? For one, it could be money. It's driven by that. And that's the biggest factor, is because it's all money based. That's why they don't want to do cannabis oil. It is absolutely. They're trying to herd us like sheep into one direction, and I'm sorry, but I go against the grain. I'm not usually one to rock the boat, but when it comes to the safety of children and how our governments and what they're doing, is I'm gonna fight for it, and that's why I'm pushing for full legalization of marijuana.
And it should be. It should be. There's no reason why people shouldn't be able to consume it like vitamins. As I said earlier, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to just take it, and in the morning you get up and you're like, oh, I got my vitamin B, I got my vitamin C, and I got my vitamin cannabis.
And I got vitamin THC.
Yeah, my vitamin THC, exactly. I mean, the other problem I find is everybody's, even if they talk about CBD and stuff like that, everybody is still, they hear THC and it's almost, it's like saying the F word in a church. Like, seriously, oh, my THC? That's the stuff that gets you high, Popeye.
Yeah.
Mikey, what do we do?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. It's funny that you brought up CBDs. CBDs, you need a trace amount of THC to activate the CBDs, because without THC, the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, is a catalyst for the CBDs that activates them, and that's where the medicinal properties come from. You need both, a combination of both of the amino acids within the plant for it to be effective on a patient. That's why a lot of people, there's a lot of hemp oil that's coming now that's made out of industrial hemp. There's absolutely no THC, and this hemp oil is not working. Well, the reason why it's not working is because it's made from an inferior product, and there's no THC in it. You need that psychoactive ingredient for it to trigger the cannabinoids for them to work properly, for them to stimulate the receptors within the brain and to target certain conditions and target the bad cells. You need them. They're beneficial. Some people don't like the high of it. Well, you know what? If it's going to save your life, I'm sorry, but I'm going to like it. I'm going to learn to like it.
But you just hit the nail on the head. It's the high. People always say to me, like the ones that are against it, they'll say, but what about people that just want to do it to get high? Well, so what if they want to smoke just to get, first of all, they're getting a medicinal value out of it anyway, but say they just wanted to smoke or ingest it or whatever, just because it gave them a relaxed feeling. So what? Do you have drinks?
I find,
how many people pop Xanax, dude? Right? How many people
eat
benzos like they're Pez? Look, I'll eat 5 benzos, no problem, but oh my God, you're smoking a joint? You're a pothead. Loser. Really? Nice judgment.
Yeah. Well, this pothead loser that you have on your show, I give out meds for free to my patients. We do a lot of charitable donations, and, people can call me a pothead loser. They can call me whatever they want. But knowing the fact is at the end of the day, I have patients that rely on my services that I offer through my club, and knowing that these people are alive, every hater that I have that says something negative about me, I'm taking 5 of my patients, and I'm going to supply them with meds for free. So, I welcome all my haters, because my haters make me the person that I am now. And the more hate that's directed at me, the more good I'm going to do for my patients, and the more meds I'm going to give out. So, like I said, I welcome my haters. Bring them on.
Well, I mean, how are they going to hate on you? I mean, they can hate on you and make fun of you, and you're going to have detractors. It's just ignorance, though. I mean, they look stupid. I mean, you are healing people and helping people, and it's just I find the 2 biggest problems we have with cannabis, okay, and getting it, I would say down the road, legalization. I even hate to use the word legalization, just decriminalization. Is ignorance to the subject, which usually comes from people that have never used it, okay? Or you have the other side, which is people that make money off of it and don't want it illegal, or don't want it legal because they make more money off of being illegal for whatever reason. And there's a big group of them. That's the prison industrial complex, the cops, politicians, big pharma, right?
That's right.
And now I also see, I've heard rumors that Monsanto, because, there's this push here, more and more states are legalizing cannabis, and where there's a big push here in the States to just get it totally legalized and decriminalized. I've heard, and I've seen some articles about this, that Monsanto is now trying to make genetically modified cannabis. Why?
Well, they can keep... Well, the reason why is because they want to make it some cannabis. Actually, when you grow it, some cannabis is susceptible to white powdery mildew and different types of mold. Mold, when it's ingested within a patient that has a compromised immune system, is very toxic for them, and it can actually kill them. Monsanto, they have sort of a good idea to make a mold-resistant plant, but the way they go about things is completely unethical, and it's disgusting. Because what they're going to do is actually they're going to poison us, and they're going to try to kill us. My strains that I have my own strains. I don't buy my seeds. My seeds are all flown in direct. I have people all over the world that will send me my pure landrace seeds. That's why my cannabis, if Monsanto ever offers, seeds to me, I'm going to boot them off my property faster than they came. And I also got 4 big dogs too, so they will have a nice escort off my land. So I will not produce any Monsanto product. I don't even eat any GMOs if I can. I look at everything. I have a weakness for Tostitos chips and cheese, and when I found out that they're GMOs, my girlfriend ended up finishing the bowl.
No, I know how it is, man. I'm the same way. I'm going to cut us off right there and pause this because the break is sneaking up on us. But no, I'm the same way, dude. I have a weakness for Panera Bread. It's a restaurant down here. I don't know if they have it in Canada, but I found out that they use MSG in their soups, and I was like, cut it off. I love the restaurant, but I ain't going to eat MSG. I'm not eating aspartame, and I'm certainly not eating GMOs. So until they take that out, it's their problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back in 3 short minutes. Do not go anywhere. Mikey's a great guy. I told you, I'm glad he's on for 2 hours with me as a guest tonight. I'm going to have him plug all his stuff when we come back. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from federaljack.com. It is June 18th, 2014. Tonight, I've been discussing cannabis freedom and cannabis freedom in Canada with my guest, Mikey Szymczak. Now, I'm going to have him plug everything, his Facebook, his Twitter, if he's got it, or any other social media sites or any websites or anything in a second. But I just want to take a second here on air to publicly tell him and tell all of you, I think Mikey is a real hero. And that comes from the heart. From me to him, and I wanted to say this on air so you all could hear it, because I think he really is a hero. Okay, and we're gonna we're going to get into why. I mean, obviously you can see why already, but through all of this, and I keep bringing this up because it's very admirable, through all of his own personal suffering and then dealing with the powers that shouldn't be and all this garbage, fighting with the police and the brutality, he still thinks of others. He still cares about a little girl that he doesn't even know in another country. Not just like in another state. I mean, yeah, I know it's just a boundary and it's more so just, distance of miles and the boundaries are fake. But think about that for a second. How many of you out there could find the personal strength and courage to do it? I think all of you could. I think every single one of you could. But I think a lot of you would doubt yourselves. And I think you could look to Mikey as someone to maybe look up to and admire. I think he's a hell of a guy, and I think what he does for others is amazing. Through all of his own personal suffering, he still helps others. He doesn't crawl off into a corner and just die. He's a fighter. So, as an old school sailor, Mikey, I want to tell you, bravo Zulu, my friend. Thank you for what you do for all these people and all these sick kids. You're an amazing, amazing human being, sir.
Thank you so much. Your kind words actually brought tears to my eyes. I'm very humbled by your kind words, and I really thank you.
You humble me.
I'm tearing.
No, it's okay, dude. You humble me. Doing this stuff, look, I'm a very real individual, and over the course of time, I've gotten a chance to meet and become friends with some very interesting activists. And I gotta say, in the cannabis activist community, there's a bunch of you that, just talking to you and seeing the person, it's amazing because most of the people that push for medical cannabis and that are the hardcore activists either themselves have some sort of medical issue or their children do. And just getting to know all these different activists over the past, 3, 4, 5 months now that I've been pushing this issue much harder than, I always talked about it, but I've been pushing this issue extremely hard like the past 4 or 5 months now. And, you all humble me as a human being. So thank you so much. Thank you for what you do, Mikey. You really are a good guy. You're a hero.
Thank you. I do what I can as an individual. I wouldn't consider myself as a hero. I'm, like I said, I'm a man of God, and I believe everybody should have a chance to live and have a happy life, and nobody should be able to interfere with somebody's happiness. It's not right. And I will do whatever I can to protect the rights of others, even though, like you said, even though they are in another country, I will still fight for them, because it's, for one, it's a child that I'm fighting for. Even if it wasn't a child, if it was for an adult, it's still a human life, and a human life is precious. We have to take it, and we have to honor each other, respect each other, and love each other. We can't have war and violence, because that's not the right way. There's no religion that preaches violence. Every God is good and holy. There's fanatics in everything. Even with their own government. And it's, the God preaches love, and, that's what I want to radiate, that energy of love and happiness to people. I don't want to be miserable. I want people to, to have a good life, because everybody's entitled to it, Everybody should enjoy the life that they have and be grateful for what they have. You're given what you can deal with and what you can handle, and, that's why we have what we have. And, like I said, everybody's entitled to having a good life, or the life that they have, that they were given. And nobody should take that away from anybody.
Yeah, well, you needed to be, I wanted to make sure that I made a point of addressing the fact that you are still, it's amazing what you do. You're an amazing human for what you do, man. Not everybody would do what you do, even if they could find the strength to do it. There's people that would just, unfortunately, there still are people that would be selfish and wouldn't do it. But you deserve the accolades, my friend. You really are amazing. And that being said, I want to explain a little bit more in depth why I consider you so amazing, or I'm actually going to let you do it. I want you to tell the listeners about your whole club thing and everything that you do and how you help people, and you're hooking people up with free medicine. I mean, that's how we're going to beat disease and like elevate humanity, not making each other pay somebody else for $5 or $10, like figuring out a way to get everything covered so that way you can give the medicine out to people for free and heal people, and you're doing that. So I guess let's start off. What gave you the idea to do this and create these, clubs, and then how did you go about doing it? And take as much time as you want, because I'm sure the listeners are just as intrigued as I am.
The way I started off is when our right to produce our own medicine was violently ripped away from us by the Harper government, by Stephen Harper and his criminals that work for him. When that was taken from us and our rights were violated, there was a judge that granted an injunction that covered only a certain select few people that were under the old program of Canada, which was the MMAR. That program was replaced the 31st and April 1st by the MMPR. Well, the MMPR, these licensed producers that work under these statutes and these new regulations now, they provide their medicine from $8 to $15 a gram. And to me, somebody that's on disability, that's only getting $1,200, $1,500 a month, they can barely afford to live, let alone pay that much for their medicine. But, if it was opiate-based medications, the government would be paying for it, but yet they don't want to pay for cannabis. So what really disgusted me and how things were happening was the fact that people were going without food just so they can have their meds. So I brought it up to a few of my friends, and we decided to open clubs where we would produce medicine and we would supply patients that can show, true financial hardship, and we'd give them the medicine for free. I have patients, that are 20 years my senior. I'm 32, and, I provide them with free medicine. And, this woman and her husband are very grateful. This woman's actually even introduced me to her parents that are, they're 70 years old, and her parents, they're grateful for what we've done. She shared my picture of, who I am and, the medicine that we provide. And, it brought me to a point that I was actually disgusted because, the government that's here, that's supposed to protect us, is failing everybody. Excuse me for 1 second. Like I said, the government that's here, it's supposed to protect us, is failing everybody. And, as a citizen, I had to step in as a private individual and pick up the slack of where the government has failed. And, as one person trying to, cure everybody or help as many people as I can where the government has failed them, that's what really upset me, because not only did I not have my medication and where I was suffering on a day-to-day basis, but there were people, a lot worse than myself that, did have seizures that were horrible seizures, and the medications that they were on, and that wasn't effective. And what was effective, that was cannabis, and now that was being taken away from them. So as one person, I stepped in and I said, enough is enough. The government's not going to do this to us. Somebody has to do something, and that's why we decided to open our clubs and work for the patients. We're going to be running holistic healing centers. Like I've opened my club. We went public about a week ago. What we're going to be doing is actually each location we're going to have a massage therapist, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, just like Harborside does it. And what we're going to do is our members through our collective are going to have access to these services, so they will be allowed to see the chiropractor once a week, 4 times a month, same as a massage therapy and acupuncture. But these services will be provided to, our club members at no charge to them. We the money that we bring in, we're going to draw a salary to keep the companies open, but we're not going to be driving Lamborghinis and Maseratis. I'm content with the Prius, to be honest with you, like I said, because I'm not here to make money off of the sick. I'm here to help the sick, and I'm here to help the dying children and the children suffering from cancer and seizures. I am here to help, alleviate those symptoms from such horrible diseases. And, as a member of society where everything else has failed me, I'm going to provide the patient services where I'm going to pick up the slack that the government now has failed all these sick people. And, through my clubs, I have people, as far as British Columbia, and I'm in Ontario, inquiring how to become members. I have people inquiring, out of secrecy, and, they're saying, hey, Mike, this is what's wrong with me. I'm embarrassed. Can you help me? And, I don't judge anybody. I welcome everybody. If, somebody needs help, I'm here to help. And that's why my clubs are here for. That's why we've set them up. And, as the president of the company, I strive for excellence. And, I'm sort of a perfectionist. And, if my patients don't leave happy or, their symptoms are alleviated, I will go out of my way to accommodate their needs. And, there's not one licensed producer that's under the government of Canada that will go to the extent that I go to for my patients and my members. I treat everybody as a family member when they come into my club. I don't discriminate. I treat everyone equal. Somebody that, they're on 2 grams of medicinal cannabis gets treated the same way as somebody on 300 grams of medicinal cannabis. I don't discriminate. I provide meds for free if people can't afford them, and I try to help out as many people as I can.
And it's just amazing that you do this. I mean, this is you could be the example for others. I mean, for real, this is how we're going to solve this. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time now, and people look at me like I have 6 heads when I say this, Mikey, and that that this is the business model. Well, how do you make money? It's not about making money. Don't you get it? It's about doing good. Right. It's about healing sick people. That's the payoff.
That's right.
You could have a Maserati. That's all great. Your Maserati doesn't mean anything. It's not going to fulfill you. You'll be 60 or 70 years old and saying to yourself, well, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done that. I don't lose an ounce of sleep at night because I know I help people. I'm sure you don't lose an ounce of sleep at night because you help people.
No. That's right. I sleep a lot better knowing the fact that some child will be able to get a full night's rest from the hemp oil that I provide. I went through a bad divorce after my car accident, and actually, funny enough, is my ex-mother-in-law lives in Florida, and to my ex-wife and to her family, I'm the scum of society because of what I do with medical cannabis, right? And then I have some parents that praise me that I'm an angel sent from heaven. My ex has gone to the extent of she's withheld my daughter from me for close to 2 years, and she took off with her because of the fact that I work with medical cannabis. And now I'm going to be going into a legal battle with her and to prove to the judge that I'm not a bad person because I work with medical cannabis. I'm not a bad person because I supply medical cannabis, to patients that are sick that require it. Because she's tried to murky the waters, and she's tried to use the fact that it's because I'm on medical cannabis, that I'm a bad parent. But yet, if I was on the morphine, she would not have an issue with it.
So, isn't that hypocritical, though? If you were on 1,000 milligrams of morphine, which is like a debilitating drug, okay, for people that have never taken it, I understand. Like as a disabled veteran, I know that with chronic pain myself, I've been given morphine, and I won't take it. I just won't. I won't take it, and I won't because I've taken it before when I really needed it, and it makes me nauseous. I mean, people that have never taken it, you don't understand. It makes you nauseous. It makes you feel like crap. It's like being on crack at the same time that you're nauseous and you can't eat. And you don't feel like you're in your own skin, and then you get itchy. And I don't know how people do heroin. I really don't. Because I don't get it. Like, there's no attraction to it for me whatsoever. I don't even like taking the medication. But people that have never had to take that, they don't understand, Mikey. They don't know what you know because you were on it. You know what I mean? I know because I was on it. But people what about these little kids? I mean, it's bad enough we're adults, right? How about these little kids that get sick? Like I've interviewed these moms here in the States. They call themselves the Canna moms. Well, their kids are given all sorts of medications because they got, they have, one of them has this a condition called FIRES, which is like this really horrific form of epilepsy. Another one has a brain tumor. Another one's got Dravet syndrome. And another one has leukemia. And all the drugs that they give these kids are horrific. I mean, they're giving them like hardcore painkillers and benzos and everything. It's like, well, we have to give them the benzos because they get anxiety from some of the painkillers and some of the other stuff. Well, so you're giving a 2 or 3 year old kid like benzos and morphine? Like, think about the insanity for a second. No, we can't give them a natural plant because, oh my God, it's scary. Ooh, THC, you get high. Ooh.
And it's a natural occurring substance in pregnant women because when a pregnant woman breastfeeds her child, she passes cannabinoids off. So this is something that's naturally produced in the body, and the doctors don't want to give it out. They are criminals. They are the drug pushers, and the society needs to wake up, and they need to say, wait a minute, we have natural alternatives to these medications. For instance, the staph virus. It is curable by cannabis oil. The staph virus is resistant to antibiotics. Cannabis oil cures it. I've gotten a staph infection when I was in a gasoline explosion from a hospital. The way I cured it was putting large amounts of cannabis oil on, and within 4 days, I had no more staph infection. They wanted to cut me open and slice me up and break me open like a piñata to get this infection out of me. And when I used a simple plant that I've extracted the oil using alcohol, cured me without any liver toxic, any medications that metabolize in my liver. I did it with a natural plant. Shame on you, doctors, for poisoning society. They are the real criminals, and they should be thrown in jail. Their ignorance to medications and natural plants is disgusting. They have no idea. No idea. They rather pump people full of opium and heroin, but that's okay. You know, that's all right with them, but, you know, give somebody a plant. You know, they're using cannabis to wean people off of heroin addictions, opiate addictions. I've done it myself. I'm a prime example. I'm actually taking on a patient that she has a heroin addiction, and I'm going to wean her off of using cannabis, and I'm going to put her on a regimen for approximately about 2 years, ingesting cannabis oil of upwards almost 150 grams a day, just to kill those extra receptors that her body grew for the heroin. And I'm going to wean this woman off of this, and I'm going to save her life. And I've done it before, and I'm going to do it again. And there's nobody that will stop me from saving someone's life. I'm sorry. There's not a chance, especially a child. If I see a child in need, I am the first one to help, and nobody will ever stop me from helping a child.
It just amazes me that these doctors, do no harm. Your ignorance.
Yeah, they do lots of harm.
Well, see, their ignorance, a lot of it is not ignorance, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's ignorance. Okay, fine. Even if it's just simple ignorance, legally, can you consider that malpractice? Because that's
exactly.
That's technically like dereliction of duty. Like if I was in the military and they were, if they were a military doctor, they would be an officer. They could get charged with dereliction of duty for, if they were ignorant, because they didn't know about something that was available, and say troops were dying because of their ignorance and somebody uncovered it and it was brought up and they were brought up on charges. They would get in trouble for that. Yet, you have civilian doctors killing, people ranging from little kids all the way up to seniors, and it's okay because the war on drugs and scary pot. Mikey, if you use cannabis, we might have reefer madness. Did you ever see the reefer madness propaganda here in the States, dude? There's literally we're fighting that in Florida right now. The Florida Sheriff's Association is putting out what I consider to be the 2014 version of reefer madness propaganda against medical cannabis, because we're voting on it for a constitutional amendment for the state here in November, and it's going to pass. But they're out there putting out this propaganda saying, "Oh my God, we're going to have all these problems," and pretty much it's Chicken Little. The sky is going to fall, the earth is going to split open, and fire is going to shoot out. Even though that's not what happened in Colorado at all, but
yeah. And I was just that. Did they not look at Colorado of what happened when it became legal? Like, are they that stupid? I'm sorry, but if somebody can't see the business module of what happened in Colorado, the crime rate dropping down within the first month, and the $1.9 million that's going to be donated back into schools and education from the taxes of cannabis sales, I'm sorry, if you can't see the benefits from that, you're an idiot, and you should not be in the position of power that you're in. You should be mopping floors. I'm sorry, that's even insulting to to somebody in the janitorial service. If you're that dumb, you should be put on disability and probably locked up in a psych ward. Because if that's how much ignorance you have, that you think the crime rate's going to go up and the war on drugs and the reefer madness, no, you're dumb. There's no excuse for you. You're just dumb. I think you might have been dropped as a child. You know, when people are born, they're fairly slippery. So when maybe that person was born, they slipped out of the doctor's hands and landed on the ground. But you know, if you're that dumb and ignorant to something, and you're interfering with people's health, yeah, no, I got no use for you. Absolutely none whatsoever.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's a lot of it is you got to look at it two ways. One, if they were that completely ignorant to the facts, and what they do is when they're debated on them, they're given true information. They say, "Well, the FDA doesn't approve it, so I go by what the FDA says." Well, you're again.
Well, the FDA is owned by. The FDA is owned by Monsanto, so
well, exactly.
But
it's okay for Monsanto to want to genetically modify the plant. And my thing is this: like the sheriffs down here, the sheriffs that are against it here in Florida, they're like, well, you know, there's no medicinal value whatsoever. They've gone on TV and said this recently. There's no medicinal value to it whatsoever. Yes, there is.
I guess Dr. Sanjay Gupta got it wrong. And, you know, I guess the federal government holding a patent on medicinal cannabis, saying that it has medicinal properties, you know, I guess they got it wrong too. You know, the many years of research. There's a hospital in Israel that they only administer cannabis. They are the leaders of cannabis research, but, you know, they got it wrong too. You know, evolution, you know, our plants and God, some people that believe in evolution, some people that believe in God, you know, Mother Nature got it wrong with this plant, you know, even in the Bible, the old scriptures, the Old Testament has been translated to that the anointing oils that Jesus used were cannabis oils that he was healing the sick with. Like, it goes back even further than alcohol, and, you know, a lot of people are going to use the religion card. Great. I'm educated on that. Let's go toe-to-toe, because cannabis has been around, and cannabis is the saving plant. You know, cannabis, well, funny thing is, what's going on with Fukushima? The cannabis plant, the hemp plant, grows in it, and it grows at a certain frequency, at a certain vibration. The radiation that's being released around Fukushima, if there was enough hemp planted around the Fukushima nuclear reactors, it would absorb the radiation that's dumping into the Pacific Ocean, that's polluting all our fish and all our food chain. If they would plant cannabis, that cannabis would absorb all the radiation, would bring it down, neutralize it, produce huge plants that could be turned into fuel and paper and clothing, and that radiation would be neutralized, so it would not pose a threat to the health and safety of the public. But yet they don't want to do that. They want to poison our earth with radiation. They don't even want to try to grow this plant. And these are the world leaders that we have in power. You know, maybe next time they go to Bohemian Grove, where they're going to be sacrificing little children, maybe they should discuss on how to save the world, because if they don't step in, we're not going to have a world to live in.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons they don't care about little kids dying from cancer, because they're already sacrificing, whether it's a mock sacrifice or an actual sacrifice, it doesn't matter. They actually do it at other occasions when they are really doing sacrifices. So the point is, they don't have a problem with letting kids die. You know, to them, it's almost like they get off on it. And I'm the exact antithesis of it. There's nothing that gets me more angry than a child being hurt. There's nothing that'll make me more enraged than that. Nothing. You want to bring out the darkest side of me, the nastiest, darkest side of me, and have it bear down upon you like a friggin' freight train. Go ahead and hurt a child in my presence and watch what happens. Or put me in the room with someone that's hurt a child in the past and watch what happens. I have no tolerance for that. That's why I think what they're doing is criminal to these kids, allowing them to be. It's criminal what they're doing to humans. Period. We again, where's your humanity, doctors? Where's your humanity, Mikey? I'm gonna pause us right there because the break is sneaking up on us. So, wow, time is just flying by, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere. As I said earlier, Mikey's an amazing individual, an amazing guest. I've got to get him back on, pick his brain about everything else. But tonight, cannabis. Cannabis freedom, ladies and gentlemen. Free the plant. Save these kids. Save your fellow man. It's get our humanity back, free the plant, and just call it a day, huh? We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. Before we get into anything else, I'm going to have Mikey plug really quick how, if you want to hook up with him on Facebook or anywhere else, you can get in touch with him. And he's going to plug Lorelei's page, the little girl in Pennsylvania. So, Mikey, go ahead. Plug Facebook and anything else.
Okay, I'm welcome to all friend requests. Whoever would like to add me onto Facebook, I can be found under Mikey Szymczak. It's Mikey. The last name is SZYM as in Michael, CZAK. I'm on there. Like I said, I welcome everybody. I have lots of resources that I can provide people. And the next thing is my little friend there in Pennsylvania. Her name's Lorelei. This little girl's going through a lot, and she can really use our help and support. It's legalized for Lorelei. It can be found on my webpage. Please check it out. Let's give this little girl a fighting chance, and the other little children in Pennsylvania. Let's help them get the cannabis oil. To stop their seizures, so these children they do have a fighting chance in society. They can grow up and be productive members. Let's help them out. Let's band together as brothers and sisters, and let's help these children out, and fight the good cause. So once again, it's Mikey Szymczak. It's SZYM as in Michael, CZAK. You can find me there. Like I said, I welcome all friend requests. And if my new friend, maybe if he can post my link to my webpage through the radio show, that'd be great. And maybe people can find me that way as well. Unfortunately, I'm not on Twitter just yet. And my webpage is still under construction. So, but like I said, I can be found on Facebook, and I can lead fellow patients, to the proper avenues that they may require.
Well, again, you're a real hero for what you do, Mikey. I really appreciate what you do. And if nobody else has ever told you that, brother, you really are. I mean, that's awesome what you do for these people, and it's awesome that you're helping out this little girl that you've never even met her. She's in another country, and here.
No, I've never met her.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, that's just absolutely amazing, and more people could take a page from your playbook, and if more people did, the world would be a much better place by the time the sun rose. So you made a comment last segment that really piqued my interest. Now, I knew that there was research going on over in Israel, but I knew there were some doctors that were like the forefront of cannabis research over there. But I did not know that there was an entire hospital that was in the forefront of cannabis research. So go ahead and take as much time as you want. Explain to the listeners about this hospital. Like, where is it? What is it? What do they do exactly?
Well, the hospital is in Israel, in Jerusalem. What they do is they provide medical cannabis to their cancer patients. They have a volcano in each room where patients will come in, and they will use their medical cannabis for their treatments. And within the hospital, under rooms that are under the negative air pressure, meaning that everything gets sucked out into the outside, and they're actually using cannabis to treat different conditions within the hospital. So that's something that maybe we should look at over here, because of that is the way of new medicine, modern medicine. If they're doing things, miraculous things like that overseas, maybe we should look at it and adopt some of their protocols and work with patients and not against them, because so far, they've had great success using cannabis and chemo. It's true. 80% of people that have cancer and they go to chemo, they die from the chemo. They don't die from the cancer. Chemo destroys you, and cannabis actually targets the cells, and that's what they've been able to identify, and that's what they're using. They're using cannabis to specifically identify cancer cells and attack those cancer cells without destroying the rest of the person's immune system. So, and then actually in medicine, though, the biggest problem is nausea. In modern medicine, doctors can't control nausea. And if you're taking medicines for different conditions and you can't keep your medicines down and you can't keep your food down and your nourishment, how are you going to get any better? And actually, cannabis is one of the best anti-nausea medications in the world. Due to my personal experiences and the medications that I was on, it's actually ruined my liver, my stomach, my intestines, and without consuming cannabis, I can't eat. And with using cannabis, I can eat normally and keep my nourishment down and give my body a chance to recover. And, that's what they're doing in Israel, that they're using cannabis, and people are, they're retaining all their nourishment in their bellies, and people are actually showing positive signs, and they're actually getting better from this and from this hospital using cannabis.
That's just absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm really blown away. Like that. Finally, somebody, and this doesn't have anything to do with anything with politics or anything else. Putting all politics and national boundaries aside, finally somebody somewhere in this frigging blue marble put this together. Why can't we do this here?
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be doing this in Canada. We need to be doing this in America. We need to be doing this all over the UK. Why not? Why? That's what I ask. Why?
The problem is population control, and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and the Illuminati. They want it's population control. They're saying that they're going to need to wipe out like 95% of the population to sustain to keep Earth going, and that's what they're doing. They're pumping fluoride into our water. When you swallow a pea size amount of toothpaste, they tell you to call poison control. But yet, when you drink a 500 milliliter bottle of filtered water, bottled water, it contains the same amount of fluoride. How come nobody tells you to call poison control when you drink a bottle of water, but they tell you to drink, or they tell you to call poison control when you accidentally ingest the toothpaste? It's population control. That's why they don't want it here, because it's going to cure and save a lot of people, and they don't want that. Somebody with cancer is worth right off the hop $1.3 million, I believe. Right off the hop, a cancer diagnosis is worth $1.3 million. So that's why they don't want it, because they're going to lose so much money, and they're going to lose their profit. If you cure everybody of all these diseases, and this plant goes public and says, you can cure 95% or 98% of your diseases with this one plant, there'd be no doctors. We'd have very minimal doctors. We wouldn't have a demand for these white coat wearing drug pushers that are destroying society, that are destroying our youth, that are destroying everything. And they think they're doing good, In Canada, William Osler, there's a hospital named after him, and I read a funny quote. He said it best, and he was a doctor. He said it best. He says a person recovers twice, once from the medicine and once from the illness. And there's doctors that I've been told that have made famous quotes that medicines are not medicines; they're drugs. They will not heal you.
None of the crap that they give you in a hospital will heal you. I mean, most of it won't. I mean, but the stuff that they give you now, everything is chemical. There's nothing. I mean, besides the saline solution, there's really nothing somewhat natural. If you want to call the saline solution that, because I know a lot of it is synthetic. But the point is, depending on what they put in it. But even if it's just straight like regular normal saline, fine, okay, that might be natural. But the rest of the stuff they give you is horrible. I mean, they get I could sit here and list a list of drugs, and just name them off. In fact, aren't you on a litany, or weren't you on at one point a litany of drugs? Didn't you have? You said you were telling me you had a rather long list of garbage that they had prescribed you.
I was actually on a freaking a garbage bag full of drugs, and I have no issues naming them off. I'm not embarrassed from what I went through. If anything, actually, I want to educate people to avoid certain things. And the drugs that I was on, I will start listing them off. I was on morphine. That was the big one. I was also on Dilaudid. I was on Percocet. I was on fentanyl patches. They were 100 milligrams, swapped out every 24 hours, so I'd have to physically take this patch off like a Nicorette patch and stick it on my skin, and that was a pure amount of heroin released into my body. I was on amitriptyline, nortriptyline. They're antidepressants. Their side effects are actually nerve blockers, apparently. Now, that's what they claim. All they did to me was make me very violent, suicidal thoughts. I was also on anti-inflammatories, from naproxen to Voltaren. I was on different topical lotions. I was getting injections in my spine. I was getting epidurals. I was a guinea pig. I was their number one experimental, the old commercial, Mikey likes it. Well, it was pretty much Mikey likes the pills. Let's feed him some more pills and see if we can get him somewhat normal, stabilized, and, destroy his liver, turn him into a junkie, and ruin his life. And, they succeeded, and I said, enough is enough, and, pee on you. And now I'm taking control of my life, and I started using the cannabis plant, and I've eliminated, 60 pills a day down to, 200 grams of cannabis. And after I do my extractions, I'm only probably about 2 ounces of oil. And my life is amazing. I'm not a zombie. I can function. I can walk. I can talk. I'm not drooling on myself. I love it. So, people can say what they want to say, but, my 200 grams of plant matter that when I turn it into my medicine, my essential oils, I'm lucky to get, maybe 40 grams out of it. And that's the 40 grams that keeps me going. And, to make that at 200 grams, like we were talking about the licensed producers, 200 grams at $10 every day, that, it's hard for people to live. It makes it very, very difficult and very frustrating. And actually, if it wasn't for the help that my clubs provide, I've actually been told that people were considering suicide because they can't afford their meds. It's either their food, their roof over their head, or their meds. Or the only way they have out is assisted suicide, which they want to ask for the courts, or they'll just do it themselves. And I will not stand for that. My father tried to kill himself. He, thank God he didn't succeed. He came very close, and I will not let somebody try to take their own life because of something that the government's neglecting them from. It's not right. And, I will step in and I will do the right thing, because if I save somebody's life, I sleep a lot better. And I'm not doing it out for the publicity. This is the first time as anybody's ever heard of me being an activist. Because of my lawsuit, I do it for the simple fact because I want to help humanity. I want to restore people's faith in other people that, there are good people left in this world. And I'm doing it for the simple fact is the road that I went down is no road for anybody to live. It is one of the hardest things to break. It's very heartbreaking. And I could just imagine what my parents endured watching their child, their firstborn, wither and deteriorate and pretty much self-destruct from the guidance of these medical professionals that I was under their care. And they destroyed my life. They absolutely destroyed my life. I stood before a judge and I cried and I told him what these people did to me. I'm sorry, I'm going to start tearing up again. And the judge pretty much told me that it is okay because they wear a white coat, that they are allowed to do what they do, but I am not allowed to have a plant that actually gave me my life back. The judge told me he'd rather see me on morphine than to use cannabis. And that is the disgusting reality that we live in, and that's the disgusting reality that my daughter might have to live in unless her father steps in and tries to make it right for everybody. Because for something like that, if somebody's sick, they should not be denied. I know I am going over it, but it's just, I'm disgusted with the way things are working. And like I said, I will be the voice for the people that don't want to legalize, but they see medicinal properties in it. And I will be the voice for the people that want to legalize, because nobody should suffer. Nobody should endure that kind of punishment in the hands of a government where people have no medical training. They couldn't fathom the pain. People are quick to judge and say something about somebody, but, you walk a mile in that person's shoes, you won't be saying too much afterwards if you experience the pain and the trauma that they've experienced in their life. And nobody should judge anybody. I smoke a joint to get rid of my pain. That is my business. You go home and you drink 5 beers. I don't judge you for drinking those 5 beers. I might tell you it's not good for your liver, and it's not good for the arguments that alcohol might cause within your household. But I'm not one to say anything. What you do behind closed doors is your business until it interferes with me or the safety of somebody else. Then I will say something. and that's just the way I am, and those are my beliefs. You know, my parents were raised in a communist country, so their pot is bad, pot is this, pot is that. But, you know, morphine and Percocet is okay with my mother. My mother told me, she says, I'd rather see you pop 3 pills to get rid of your pain than you smoke a joint. And at that point in my life, I looked at her and I said, you poor woman, you've been misled for 55 years of your life. This propaganda that's been thrown in your face and all this nonsense that you've been spoon-fed, that's been sugar-coated, and you took it and you believe this is saving you from expanding your mind to look at different things in life, to understand that, you know, this is a good thing. There is research coming out of it. But my parents still shut the idea down that it is a beneficial plant, because in their eyes and what they've been taught in school by a communist leader, that it is okay. That is not okay to do this. This is bad. This is the devil. But yet you can go home, and I'm Polish. Polacks can drink. They're proud of it. I don't drink. To me, alcohol, there's no medicinal properties to it except the fact that it's an antiseptic. To me, I could live without alcohol for the rest of my life. To me, it's nothing. But yeah, they'll go home and they will drink proudly, but heaven forbid, you know, smoking a joint. That's bad. That's you're evil. I'm the black sheep of the family. Even though that what my clubs do and how we assist patients, my parents still think that I'm the devil for what I do, because it's still the weed, the gateway drug. And when I tried to tell them the only thing it's a gateway to is the fridge or a bag of potato chips or a chocolate bar, they don't seem to understand that. And when I tried to explain to them, you know, people drink alcohol, some people get violent. Well, the only aggression that I show after I smoke a joint is to a chocolate bar that I can't open, or a bag of chips because my fingers are greasy from, you know, eating the other, you know, his cousin, the other bag of chips. I can't open that bag. That's the only time I have aggression towards anything after smoking cannabis. But, you know, to my parents, I've been disowned. Like I said, you know, I've had a pretty raw deal with everything with my family, but, you know, I do what I do just to see the smiles of people that I can actually help. And that's all I ask for. Thank you. And that's it. That's all I want. Because, you know, we come into this world with nothing, we leave in this world with nothing. But what we leave behind is a legacy that people can remember you by. And I want my legacy. I want to know that I've helped so many children, you know, reach an age where they graduate school, they get married. You know, it's because no illness should stop anybody from achieving that, especially a little girl, especially daddy's little princess should not be denied the fact of, you know, not being able to get married because she has such bad seizures. And, you know, the government that her daddy works for, you know, or daddy defends, that, you know, this government is not protecting this child. And I have a lot of patients, you know, that, you know, the parents are, you know, military. They've done a tour in Iraq, and, you know, these children need hemp oil, and the government's saying, no, we're not giving it to you. But, you know, thank you for going over to Afghanistan and doing what you did for us. We want to help you now, but, you know, thanks for helping us. And, you know, where's the justice in that?
There is none.
So,
well, that leads me to my next question. How can we get the listeners out there? Because the show's heard all around the world. So how can the listeners worldwide help these sick kids and these sick people get medicine? How can we help you, Mikey? What can we, the rest of the world, do to help you on your mission?
You know what? The best way you guys can help, add me to Facebook, send me a private message. I have information packages that I will email and send out to people that are willing to be a voice for a 4 or 5-year-old that can't. You know, that for a child that's suffering, that, you know, their brain is shutting down from these seizures. I have patients that they've been put in chemically induced comas because the seizures are so bad. Like, it's disgusting. It's heartbreaking, and I apologize. I'm not tearing up, but it's one of those things that, you know, I will fight tooth and nail, and so help me God, I will help as many people as I can. Because it's not right to watch a child suffer, and the doctors know that this can work, and they're still refusing it. It is such a bad thing. And, you know, I I don't know what to do. I want to spit on these doctors in these hospital rooms. And then I have some doctors that I had a child that was having a seizure in my arms. I medicated him with cannabis before he had a license. I took the chance, and you know what? I will admit it. And whoever comes at me, what law enforcement agency, go ahead. But you put me in front of a jury, my peers, and when that parent gets up and says, he stopped my child's seizure that normally lasts for 45 minutes, and we have to dope them up with so much Valium that they don't even know where they are for the next 2 days. He said he stopped it with one toke. I went to the hospital. The doctor was waiting for me when I got out of the ambulance, and he said, what do I need to do to get this kid legal? I always carry my paperwork from my club. I handed it to the doctor. The doctor signed those papers. That child's been a patient of mine now for 3 years and hasn't had a seizure yet due to the specific strain that we produce for him that I actually bred in my greenhouses for this child specifically. And he has his medicine. I have a supply for the next 3 years, so he'll never go without. And the strain is secure. Even if law enforcement comes after me, that strain is secure, and it's in a place that they'll never get it. And this child will always have his medication with the license. So that's the extent that I go to for my patients as well. And I will actually breed custom strains. So if people want to help the cause, send me a message on Facebook. Once again, you can actually even search me up on my cell phone number. Can I give it out on air?
That's up to you. I mean, if you want, it would probably be. Well, I mean, it's up to you.
No problem. No problem. My cell phone number is area code 1905-745-3193. The phone number again, 1905-745-3193. I can be found on Facebook just by punching in my cell number. Like I said, send me a message. I'll send out the information to people, and we can win this. We can help these children. Faces of Cannabis is changing. It's no longer the dirty long hair hippie. Now it's children that are 6, 7 months, 8, 9 months old, children under the age of a year. Now they're patients. These are the new faces of Cannabis, and we need to address this serious issue because that is our future. Those are going to be potentially future leaders, and we need to give those kids the best opportunity in life to start as we possibly can as adults.
Well, I mean, it's our duty to do this. I don't know how people could look at a sick kid or just another sick human being in general and say, yeah, it's okay. I mean, we've become, and I've done broadcasts on this. That's another whole subject about why, but we've become detached from our humanity and we don't have
desensitized.
Dude, it's really bad. It's really bad. How do you look at sick kids and go, well, they should be taking morphine. You shouldn't give them the plant. I mean, if you look at it logically, the plant should be the first thing you treat with. And if that didn't work, well, then you would escalate to maybe morphine and these other drugs and then maybe surgery as a last resort. That stuff should be on the last end, not the first thing. But that's, modern medicine, Western medicine, combined with the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and there you have it, big pharma.
But here's the thing, though: in Chinese medicine, cannabis is considered as an herb, not as a drug. Only in North America, we're pardon my language, we're ass backwards with this. Because, like you said yourself, they go with the very invasive surgeries and all these horrible drugs, but they're not going to try something natural and therapeutic. And it's been proven. And they know because it's going to work. And that's why they don't want to give it to that, because that patient that's going to constantly get poked, prodded, and it's going to be a guinea pig is eventually more money for the corporate gains and, the people lining their pockets off the sick of the back. And that is something that me personally, my company, and the people that work with me, that are part of my family, we have a code of ethics. And if you don't abide by the code of ethics of first helping people, second helping people, and third helping people, unfortunately, you can't work for my company, because that's what my company is all about. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I can go on and on, but it's disgusting what the governments do. Like, they just want to keep you in a vicious circle, so they constantly make money off of you because you're sick. And they know because you're sick, you're at their mercy, and you will do whatever they tell you to because it's the big, mighty government. They're telling you the truth. You have to listen to them. It's their medicine, it's their science that they've conducted that is going to work and it's going to cure you. Well, no, it's not going to cure you. It's going to kill you.
I agree. It will kill you. Mikey, we have about a minute left. I want to take a second and thank you again, sir. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for taking 2 hours out of your obviously very busy life to come on and talk to myself and to the listeners and tell them all about everything that's going on.
Anytime. It was my pleasure. I would love to be a guest if I ever am invited back on your show. It was a pleasure speaking to all the beautiful people out there, and maybe hopefully I educated some people that were non-believers, and now they might consider the options of cannabis, because it's an amazing plant. Everybody, please, people that don't believe in it, give it a try. It won't disappoint you. And coming firsthand from somebody that's used it to kill their own cancer, I'm telling you from the heart, give it a shot, because it does work. And where everything has failed me, even a surgery where they removed it and it came back, give it a shot. It's one of those things that from heart to heart, from a parent to fellow parents, give it a chance. It does work. It really does.
I couldn't have said it any better than that. Thanks again, Mikey. I appreciate you coming on again. Man, you are a real hero for everything that you do. Just an amazing individual, ladies and gentlemen. You can take a page from his playbook. He's an example. Well done. Bravo Zulu, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. Educate yourself. Find your humanity. Free the plant. And as I always tell you, the solutions to our problems are an inside job. I love you all, and I will catch you all again live tomorrow night. We're out of here.